All right, so later on in the conversation, you've got past the initial bit where it feels a bit awkward, there's a little bit of small talk. Now you're getting into territory where you want to build more rapport, okay? And you want to keep it lively because too many conversations, you get to 5 minutes in, 10 minutes in, half hour in, and suddenly they go dead. Okay, well, what makes that happen? Generally, what makes a conversation go dead is when you get onto a certain, what we call conversational thread. Okay, so a certain topic, and it seems fun at first, and you go down it, but you go down and down and down and down and down, and you get to a point where suddenly that thread goes stale. There's nothing else to say on that matter. And people get hooked on a certain thread because they're worried about transitioning to a different part of the conversation, or they're worried about breaking out their shell and talking about something totally new. So they stay on this same thread. And you can't do it because once that goes stale, now the both of you are looking for a whole new thread to start on. The way you want to do it is you want to be starting different threads at the same time. So as you're talking to someone, you could be talking about, this holiday that you did in Mauritius and you swam with these dolphins, and now you can transition from that onto something else. So maybe you say, oh really, I actually went to Barbados the other year, and the funniest thing happened when I was there. And now you start talking about this thing that happened to you while you were in Barbados. You have to get used to transitioning from one thing to the next in a fluid way. Something that you can practice with your friends to actually get better at this is word association games. Okay, so with your friend, just come up with a word. You could say dolphin, and then that person can't say the same word, but they have to say something else. So they say, okay, sea, because it's related to dolphin. And now the other person says something else, so they say salt. Now the other one goes pepper, the other one goes dinner, the other one goes plate, okay? And you just keep bouncing back and forth, back and forth. You're going to get better at transitioning and being more you can be tenuous with your links. You don't have to worry that, this doesn't seem too connected. I remember the other day I went to a restaurant and I tried something called Weasel coffee, okay, which is kind of a weird thing. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's actually coffee that, disgustingly enough, has been digested by a weasel, and it happens to be the most expensive coffee in the world. Okay, now, I know in drinking that I found out a little bit about it, and I thought, that's actually quite an interesting little story to tell. Now, I don't need to wait till someone starts talking about either weasels or coffee in order to talk about my experience with weasel coffee. What I can do is just, when someone says, have you tried anything new lately? Or what's something weird that you've done lately? Or what have you been up to? And even if someone says, what have you been up to lately? You can say, I did the weirdest thing yesterday. I went to this restaurant, this Vietnamese restaurant, and blah, blah, blah. Now you can start talking about it. Can you see, you don't need to wait for them to give you the opportune moment to then move on to something you really want to talk about. I haven't got a lot of patience in conversation. I always want to talk about the things that are interesting, the things that I want to talk about, or I want us to talk about the parts of them that are interesting. So I don't let people wallow in the crap and the boring small talk. I always transition quickly off onto interesting things, and they could be interesting experiences that they've had or interesting experiences that I've had. Now, as you come to the end of a conversation, if you like this person, if this is a guy standing in front of you that you think, I like this guy, I'd like to carry it on, I don't really know how, you've got to have a strategy for that. Too many women I know, they go through this whole conversation, they know they like the guy, and then the guy walks off and that's it. They never speak to the guy again. I'm going to give you a couple of little ways, little techniques that you can actually get a guy's number so that you have a point of contact for later on. Okay? One thing I would do is, when you're in conversation, you can say to a guy, you know what, I kind of ditched my friends and I've got to get back to them. So immediately, by the way, what are you doing? You're setting up a frame where you're in demand, you're high value, so you can't stay because you've got all this other stuff to do. So immediately you're still in a position of power. So you say, you know what, I've got to get back to my friends, they're waiting for me. Are you on Facebook? Okay. Now by saying that, you've gone for a really, really risk-free approach. And when he goes, you go, actually, you know what, I hate Facebook. Just let me grab your number and I got to run. Now, that's cool because it takes all the pressure off. You started with Facebook, which was a casual lead-in, but then you said, actually, you know what, give me a number because I got to run. I hate Facebook. Okay, now you've looked really high value. The important thing in getting contact details is that you look high value. You're not saying, hey, can I have your number? Okay, you're saying, you on Facebook? Actually, you know what, I hate that. I got to get back to my friends. Let me just take your number. Now, when he gives you his number, you can give him yours, And something you can do to reverse the frame, because since you asked, you can actually take that power back by saying, as you're about to give him your number, you can say this. You can say, oh, whoa, hang on. Before I give you a number, I have a couple of conditions. No ringing me at 4 a.m, crying, telling me that you have to be with me and that you're going to go crazy if you don't. No ringing me 5 times a day. Okay, you can ring me once a week and then I'll text you. Now, what you're immediately doing again is you set up a high value frame. Now, he knows you're being playful. He knows you're not being arrogant. And you say it in a playful way. But what it does is it shows a guy that, okay, this is a high in demand girl. This is a high value girl. And immediately it reverses the frame again. The other quick tip I'll give you is during conversation, give him reasons to give you his number or to want your number. So if he says, I really want to see this film, say to him, I want to see that film as well. Or if he doesn't say anything like that, say, I'm dying to see this film. Give him an excuse to have your number so that later on in the conversation he can say to you, we should go see that film together. What's your number? If you don't give him any reasons, it's really, really hard for him to set anything up where he now needs your number. So give him some reasons, say something you want to do, or even say to him, if he's into, say, something that you want to learn, he knows Chinese and you want to learn Chinese. Well, you know what? He needs to teach you Chinese. That's your excuse. Okay? Find a reason. Then getting the number is easy because now it's not all about you and him and what might ensue. Okay? So, give reasons in the conversation, and when it gets to asking for the number, say you've got to get back to your friends, go casual with a Facebook, and then say, give me a number, I can't be asked with Facebook. And then when you give him the number, don't be afraid to say, okay, just make sure I don't want any phone calls at 3 a.m, crying and upset because you can't live without me. Okay, be playful with it. We love a playful woman. Okay, have fun with that, and I will see you soon.